Sports Fest with Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. You're on the record. This week, probably more than any other week, we reflect on college football and where it is. We're also on the back quarter of the NFL season, beginning of NHL and NBA holiday orientations in earnest, and on and on. A lot of issues going on, and let's talk about the opening drive, 1 through 5. Number 1, it has to be this. And by the way, this is really important because of history and also Miami. In 1983, the Miracle in Miami. This is that helmet. Miami beats Nebraska in the final 2-point conversion play, wins the national championship. You only have to have 2 votes, the AP and the UPI, and everybody else didn't matter. Now we have a convoluted system which intends to generate controversy. And at the end of the day, ESPN locked into the CFP Selection show every Tuesday for 5 straight weeks before the final selection. It's not the process. The committee members do an amazing job of analyzing data. It's the expectations. Does a team for the first 5 of these coaches shows or CFP selection shows automatically get in to the next ranking and the next deal? No, obviously not. It didn't happen that way. So what happens to that show? Well, ratings demand, and that's why the show exists, and it's in the contract. We'll have to see what happens at the end of the day. We've got teams in. We've got 39 other bowl games if you count the first 4 in the CFP, and then you got the semis and the finals at the traditional bowls like the Rose Bowl. And when you think about it, this becomes the future, potentially, of college sports as we know it. So that's number 1. And number 2 is another example of what the consequences are. Don't look now, but Alabama's decision may reshape college scheduling as we know it. They postponed a game against South Florida that was supposed to be the first game next year, kicked the can down the road to 2032 and substitute Marshall and Chattanooga over the next 2 years. The non-conference games can be increasingly rare as teams don't want to take a risk. Alabama became successful doing that, but if you lose a game early, there may be a situation that's going to cause some problems. Whether the playoff is 12 teams or 16 teams, we'll just have to see how that works. And at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot more of that, and that's number 2. Number 3, we may see a lot more of this. Iowa State and Kansas State skipping bowl games, fined $500,000 by the Big 12 Conference. Coaching transitions. Iowa State lost its coach to another program. Kansas State's longtime coach retired. Kansas State 6-6. Iowa State 8-4. Both replaced by teams under 500 records with academic progress rates making the selection. At the end of the day, do those 39 bowl games, the 35 plus the 4, certainly the 35, become less relevant? Well, this may be another step in that. And the other consequence of this is part of number 3 as well. The selection committee, quote, pulls the rug after the playoff snub, says Pete Bavacqua, the AD at Notre Dame, and says Marcus Freeman, the coach at Notre Dame. They said it was a coach's vote, or a player's vote. I'd love to see the video of the locker room after the discussion and the vote. The end of the day, this may be a key to change more than any other. Why play a game, says Miami, if you don't count it? That's successfully the argument deployed in the meeting room with the CFP Selection Committee. But then why have a 10-game win streak and then have it not count, as Notre Dame said? Bottom line is, with 16 teams, it may be resolved, but then 17, 18, 19 have an issue. The other solution also might be a legitimate selection criteria that doesn't entail a effective coin flip like the ACC. So there is some kind of an override after 3 or 4 tiebreakers. So Miami might have gotten into the conference championship. Kudos to Duke, but they did lose 5 games. This discussion cannot be resolved. So let's go to number 4, what to know about the Netflix deal with Warner Brothers. The value estimated about $87 billion for Netflix. The value estimated for Warner Brothers about $72 billion. at the end of the day, raising concerns with the acquisition by labor unions, filmmakers, theater operators about possible job losses, reduced theatrical releases, and increased corporate concentration. Even President Trump weighs in saying, there might be a problem. Well, at the end of the day, preemptive bids with Paramount, this hasn't even begun to be finished. We'll just have to see how it all shakes out. That's number 4. Number 5, Georgia suing Missouri's Damon Wilson over alleged NIL contract breaches. His contract, quote unquote, $390,000 in damages and a $30,000 advance that they want him to give back. The Classic City Collective is suing. He goes to Missouri after taking the money and signing the deal. He did give notice on January 13, an arbitration in Clark County, asking the judge to enforce and recoup the full $390,000. At the end of the day, there's more to this than that. Everybody looking to see what obligations are enforceable by a college athlete who basically says, I'm taking the money, and then going elsewhere. There will be more of this in the future, you can be sure. Well, that's the opening drive. What an opening drive this week. Let's look at the 5 to watch this week. First, and maybe foremost, the Optum Golf Channel games, prime time, December 17 at Trump National in South Florida. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, captains. Look at the names. Shane Lowry, Luke Donald, Hung-Tun Lee, Keegan Bradley, Sam Burns, Luke Clanton. The format features fast-paced challenges designed for broadcast, a themed driving contest, short game skills test, a restricted club challenge, timed alternate shot format, head-to-head captains showdown. At the end of the day, inspiration from all-star events and NFL Combine to highlight speed, precision, and pressure performance. The show and event highlights NBC and Optum's effort to, as they say, expand golf's audience through innovation while showcasing top-ranked talent in a format designed for modern primetime viewing. For South Florida, it's yet another example of a mega made-for-TV event over the holiday season, showcasing the business, political, and sports leadership of the South Florida golf community and the South Florida business community. So that's number 1. Number 2, how about this? The final game, Chase Field. They're going to a new stadium by the airport, FC Inter Miami. But more important than that, the MLS Cup, a honor to Messi. Clearly, Miami wins the first ever MLS Cup final, a 3-1 victory over Vancouver Whitecaps. I was honored to be there. I'm old, but I remember that stadium next to the airport at the Lauderdale commercial airport location being Lockhart Stadium, where the old the North American Soccer League, Beckenbauer, Pele, Ray Hudson, George Best, Canalia, all the other folks, it caught on, but nothing like this. The pink-clad fans at a frenzy. And after the event and the inevitable Messi MVP, Don Garber holds his State of the League event in Washington, talking about the global football economy of the MLS, the 24-year-old average, a young talent, long-term development, financial stability, no relegation, infrastructure investment, improved youth investment and development, the international credibility. And by the way, no structural changes are imminent, and why would they be? Because we're heading into a World Cup at 11 U.S. venues and Mexico and Canada that will drive the value of the MLS up even more. That's number 2. Number 3, someone had to step forward, says Michael Jordan, his testimony in antitrust case. The owner of 23XI Racing says the system was financially unsustainable when he invested his $35 to $40 million, gave them too little security, his racing team, an ultimatum, not a partnership. This is a major issue because of the star power of Michael Jordan and the antitrust implications for long-term growth as it relates to NASCAR. NASCAR, for their matter, says it's a company. We set up the rules. We've been very careful. We protected the drivers. This is not an open and shut case. It's going to take a while, and we're just getting started. That's number 3. Number 4, Bundesliga bolsters UK and Ireland, reaching a new FAST channel. FAST meaning free ad-supported streaming. Selected Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2 games, free, easily accessible access to top-tier German football for UK and Irish audiences. And most important is the FAST channel craze is taking the world by storm. Obviously, this is a deal that's going to expand international soccer and all other events as well. That's number 4. And then finally, number 5, the MLB brass sends a memo warning players about prediction markets. They said that they're prohibited under Major League Gaming policy, sports betting, they say, regardless how companies classify themselves legally. Players instructed not to place money on any baseball-related outcomes, including, quote, games, performances, or league events. So it's very clear what baseball wants. Companies like Kalshi and others creating a marketing partnership. Again, we're going to have to see how it all shakes out. That's the 5 to watch in the coming weeks. We'd like to thank Callie Kazire for putting this together, Ryan McNeil for being our guest on the record. For you all to watch and listen, thank you as we get closer to the holidays. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, speak with you soon.